Tonight, searching for answers after a death on a Quebec mountain gondola.
It's a difficult day. It was yesterday. It's hard again today.
New details about the victims of a tragic incident. Why doctors are optimistic about a new drug treatment for Alzheimer's.
An important moment as we continue the fight to find a cure in Alzheimer's disease.
Crime story with a twist. Kidnapping charges against a cryptocurrency investor. Video from the alleged victim, the self-proclaimed crypto king.
I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't want to or mean to ruin anybody's life.
This is The National with Ian Henemansing.
New details tonight about the deadly gondola crash at Quebec's popular Mont Tremblant resort. A 50-year-old man killed and a woman in her 50s in critical condition. Police say the gondola they were riding on Sunday collided with a drilling machine, the shattering impact throwing both passengers to the ground. What's still not clear why that machine would be there in the gondola's path. Sarah Levitt is in Mont Tremblant tonight, where investigators are trying to piece it all together.
Mont Tremblant, normally overrun with tourists, quiet on Monday. The gondolas still. Unseen is the tragedy that happened here Sunday. This is what's left of one of two gondolas after it was struck by a construction drilling machine. The front end, a bench with a window, completely ripped off the cabin.
This machinery, which is a drill, that hit the gondola. There was two gondola that were involved. One that has no one inside, but the second one has two people inside, a man and a woman, both in their 50s. They were ejected.
Police confirm 50-year-old Sheldon Johnson from Kingston, Ontario, was killed, while the other victim, a woman in her 50s from Ottawa, has been identified by her sister as Marichu Gadong-Leo. She is in critical but stable condition.
It's a difficult day. It was yesterday. It's hard again today. There's always construction on the mountain. No matter what, we always have to fix things and get the snowmaking going and so on. So this one, we're not sure why on a Sunday there was somebody there in a drilling machine.
This union rep says there are strict rules to follow when using machinery. He's not sure how this could have happened, a sentiment echoed by many at the resort. According to Radio-Canada sources, the driver was a subcontractor. It's unclear if he was part of the union.
His version of the story is really important, but also since the mountain was in operation, and as you probably know, in the weekends there's a lot of people, so we still have a lot of possible witness to meet.
And Sarah, what do we know about the operator of the drilling machine involved in this accident?
Well, police say that the man in his 30s was taken to hospital. He was treated for shock. In the meantime, here, there are multiple investigations ongoing, including Quebec's Workplace Health and Safety Board. They've sent inspectors and they said, please do not remove the vehicle in question as we do our investigation. Meanwhile, police continue to look into this and they haven't ruled out possible criminal charges. Ian?
Sarah Levitt in Mont Tremblant, Quebec, once again for us tonight. Thanks. Also in Quebec, Premier François Legault is promising more help for remote communities dealing with wildfires.
So we will all need to adjust, make sure that we build protection, some kind of protection around the different villages up north.
Smoke from wildfires have brought real health dangers. Today, air quality advisories were issued for James Bay and La Grande River, among other communities. Air quality risk also remaining high or very high in other parts of the country, including Montreal, Calgary, Yellowknife, and Prince George, British Columbia. And a tragic story from BC's interior tonight. The Provincial Coroner Service says it's investigating wildfire smoke as a contributing factor in the death of a 9-year-old boy with asthma. Tanya Fletcher has the family's story and the province's warning to others.
Carter Vi was like many other 9-year-olds. He loved music and soccer, says his mom.
He loved his family so hard.
Last week, Carter was playing outside in the morning and seemed fine. His parents say the wildfire smoke worsened as the day went on. Given his asthma, they monitored him closely. By dinner time, he was coughing uncontrollably. That's when they rushed him to the hospital in 100 Mile House.
When I carried him out from the house to the truck, he kind of looked up at me and he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "I don't like the feeling of this."
Inside the ER, they describe an army of staff performing CPR for 25 minutes. It wasn't enough. Carter died at 7:20 that night.
This is obviously a terrible, terrible tragedy and every parent's worst nightmare.
BC's coroner confirms wildfire smoke was a factor in Carter's death. This case has now sparked a provincial safety bulletin warning of the dangers of wildfire smoke.
When it comes to air quality, it is monitored on a daily basis, and that I think people need to pay attention to that.
Oh, it's far more common than we think.
In fact, this respirologist says 1 in 4 patients he sees during wildfire season is related to air pollution.
We know wildfires can trigger asthma attacks.
And experts only expect more cases linked to air quality in the future.
We have levels in northern BC in particular that are about 40 times higher than what the World Health Organization recommends. So we're starting to understand a lot more about this, but this is, as Jess, just the tip of the iceberg.
The advice from doctors, if you have breathing problems, stay inside as much as possible.
I'm hoping that people realize how quickly it can turn, because we had his asthma under control. We were so diligent.
And yet a family, an entire community is left to mourn a little boy whose smile lit up a room. Tanya Fletcher, CBC News, Vancouver.
The U.S. Special Envoy on Climate is in Beijing tonight, starting a 3-day summit with China to talk about curbing emissions. As global temperatures soar, smashing records, Katie Simpson shows us why cooperation among countries is crucial.
Farmers urgently try to save their horses in the Greek countryside as wildfires ravage villages southwest of Athens. Flames have taken the barns. Nothing else can be rescued here. It's a similar situation in Spain, where water bombers strike hotspots. Containment efforts are made harder by record-breaking temperatures, which are making life miserable and dangerous across Europe.
We didn't expect it to be as hot. No. We expected heat, but not this hot.
It's not much better in the U.S., where a pair of extremes are upending daily life. The brutal heat in the south and the heavy rain and flooding in the northeast. Recovery efforts entered a 3rd day in Pennsylvania for members of a family who drowned in flash floods while driving to a barbecue. The bodies of 2-year-old Matilda and 9-month-old Conrad are still missing.
We ask that you continue to pray for the return of Conrad and Matty and for the safety of all those committed to bringing them home to us.
Extreme weather around the world is underscoring the urgency of high-level talks in Beijing.
What are your expectations with your China visit?
U.S. climate envoy John Kerry is meeting with his Chinese counterpart after tensions between the superpowers eased just enough to reopen conversations about ways they can work together to fight climate change.
Gosh, we need the U.S. and China working together because they are the largest emitters in the world and they're the largest economies. And what they do will have a huge impact on whether we can do what we need to do on climate.
In the meantime, Canada's former environment minister says the world needs to prepare for more extreme conditions.
I don't like this word new normal. It's as if, okay, that tomorrow is going to look like today. You know what? It's going to be hotter than today.
Katie, are we expecting any major breakthroughs out of this climate meeting?
This meeting is more about reopening the lines of communication, Ian. China shut down all climate-related conversation last summer when they were furious about then-Speaker Nancy Pelosi making a visit to Taiwan. Expectations are fairly low for anything groundbreaking taking place here, but it's generally considered a good thing that they're even having in-person conversations at all.
Katie Simpson reporting from Washington. And you can now stay on top of your community's current conditions. Head to the CBC News Climate Dashboard, along with information on temperatures. It has up-to-date measurements of air quality as well, plus the number of wildfires burning. It's all at cbc.ca/climate. In South Korea, floods and landslides caused by torrential rain have now killed at least 40 people. Just south of Seoul, rescue crews continue to scour a flooded tunnel, looking for those who were trapped in a flash flood. 12 people were killed when 16 vehicles, including a bus, were swallowed by the rising waters. In other parts of the country, thousands have been left without homes. A deal that had allowed the transport of Ukrainian grain to a needy world is off. Russia pulled out of the Black Sea Agreement today. Abby Kuabasan looks at the possible impact and why the timing has raised questions.
A symbol of the Kremlin's claim on Crimea fractured. Online video shows significant damage to the Kerch Bridge, which links southern Russia to the occupied Crimean Peninsula. Russian President Vladimir Putin says there will be a response. Moscow uses this bridge to transport its troops, tanks, and supplies into Ukraine. Russia blames Ukrainian drones, but Kyiv has not taken responsibility for the attack. A few hours after the explosion, Moscow delivered a jolt of their own, unilaterally pulling out of a deal allowing the shipment of Ukrainian grain. Though the Kremlin says that decision is not connected to the bridge attack. A year ago, the UN and Turkey brokered the deal for safe passage through the Black Sea. The UN says the 33 million tons of food that came out of a war zone was a global lifeline.
Hundreds of millions of people face hunger, and consumers are confronting a global cost of living crisis.
About 3% of Ukrainian food has gone to lower income countries, including Somalia. The Kremlin says that's not enough. But the UN points out the grain deal helped stave off a global food shortage and significantly lowered prices for those nations.
Russia has chosen its moment fairly well. Prices are relatively low because of global supply. And I think the impact on global food price will be much less now.
He says Putin has found a way to harm Ukraine without creating a severe shortage for other countries.
He will say to the African leaders is, if there is a shortfall, come to me.
Moscow says it will only rejoin the deal if it's readmitted into an international payment system and its own grain and fertilizer exports are better protected. Meanwhile, the last Ukrainian grain ship reached Turkey for inspection.
Abby, Turkey helped facilitate this deal. What kind of role can President Erdogan play to get it back on track?
Ian, President Erdogan is in a unique position. Turkey is a NATO member, but has not leveled any sanctions on Moscow for its invasion of Ukraine. And today, Erdogan said he believes President Putin wants to continue the grain deal and that they'll discuss it in August when they meet. Now, Putin more isolated than before and perhaps looking more to Ankara than before. And Turkey imports quite a bit of Ukrainian grain, and that's been lucrative for them in the last year. And the war has allowed Erdogan to position himself as a broker on the world stage, so it's certainly in his interest to get this grain deal back on track.
Abby Kugabasan in London, thank you. Back at home, pressure is mounting in Toronto to help hundreds of vulnerable newcomers with nowhere to go. Asylum seekers are being shut out of crowded shelters. Tonight, there are calls for more money and new management. Stephanie Skandaris picks up the story.
Peter Nguyen is trying to raise awareness about a situation playing out on Toronto's streets. Asylum seekers and refugees with nowhere to go.
It's not fair. This is not how we should be treating folks who are coming here looking for safety. All right, awesome. I'll see you guys at the next house.
The canvassing location is no accident. It's the riding of Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland.
Essentially, is we're coming up to the constituents who elected her and just letting Chrystia Freeland know, like, hey, your constituents who elected you are demanding you and the federal government that you need to do better. This is not fair of what's happening to the refugees that are coming here seeking asylum.
Progress Toronto, a not-for-profit which openly supported new Mayor Olivia Chow's election bid, wants the federal government to provide $157 million in funding to help shelter newcomers, like those camped outside a shelter intake center in the city.
I'm so troubled by what I've seen over the last few weeks. As Torontonians, as Canadians, as Ontarians, we need to do better.
But those three levels of government haven't found an answer. The city says its shelter system is full. Last month, it started redirecting newcomers to the federal government. That decision, one of the catalysts for an open letter released today. More than 30 prominent advocates are calling for the immediate resignation of the general manager of the city's shelter system.
The way the city is going about doing this right now is reprehensible. It is not okay to simply shift the blame.
A CBC News request for an interview with the general manager went unanswered, but in separate statements, the city manager says he has every confidence in him, and Mayor Olivia Chow says the city needs all hands on deck right now to resolve this crisis. The municipal, provincial, and federal governments met last week to discuss the issue. They'll meet again tomorrow. Stephanie Skandaris, CBC News, Toronto.
Also in Toronto, hundreds gathered tonight to remember a mother of two killed by a stray bullet. More than a week ago, Carolina Hubner-Macarad was fatally shot. Police say those shots fired during a dispute between three men nearby. One suspect has been arrested and charged with murder. Investigators still searching for two others. In Manitoba, Indigenous leaders and protesters say they won't take no for an answer. They say they won't accept the province's decision not to search a landfill for the remains of two women. And as Josh Crabb reports, the protests are growing.
For a 12th day, demonstrators held their ground outside this landfill in Winnipeg in spite of a court injunction to stay off the road. They've been blocking the main entrance to protest the province's decision not to search for the remains of Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron.
And what Premier Stephenson said made me very hurt and angry. How can she say no?
Winnipeg police say they believe the women were murdered by a serial killer and that their remains ended up at a different privately owned landfill. Police have not moved in to arrest the protesters, saying, "Our intent is to achieve a peaceful resolution." This protest started after Premier Heather Stephenson told families and First Nations leaders a search would be unsafe for workers. Grand Chief Kathy Merrick is still looking for a firm commitment from Ottawa and is asking the Premier to reconsider.
We are not asking that the entire landfill site be searched. We know from what has been shared that it has been narrowed down to a specific area.
Experts say a search could take up to 3 years and cost as much as $184 million. Those who took part in a feasibility study say a search can be done safely.
Any argument, I guess, that would oppose those findings, in our opinion, aren't necessarily based in fact.
A statement from the Office of Crown Indigenous Relations Minister Mark Miller says Manitoba has to be involved because the landfill is a provincial responsibility. Manitoba's Premier, meantime, is standing by the decision not to search. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Nike is ending its sponsorship of Hockey Canada. It's the second big brand to cut ties after a sexual assault scandal rocked the sport's governing body. Ashley Burke has the latest.
We invented this game.
Nike tapped into Canada's love of the game. For 25 years, the apparel giant sponsored Hockey Canada, becoming one of its top marketing partners.
As long as there's ice to skate on, we're at home.
But now that relationship has come to an end. In a statement, Nike said it's no longer a sponsor of Hockey Canada.
They're a top brand in sport. And they're sort of been synonymous with Hockey Canada for those couple of decades. So I do think it's a big blow to the organization.
Nike cut ties ahead of the results of multiple investigations into a high-profile case. A young woman last year filed a $3.5 million lawsuit alleging she was sexually assaulted in 2018 by a group of Canada's World Junior hockey players. And then Hockey Canada failed to remove the defendants from their teams or impose any sanction once they learned of their conduct. Unsealed court documents show police in London, Ontario have said they have reasonable grounds to believe that 5 of the players did sexually assault the woman. So far, no charges have been laid.
We're all waiting for that other shoe to drop, which is the investigations to come out. And, we know that the NHL's doing their own. We know Hockey Canada has one. So my guess is the timing is for Nike to step away before their brand gets damaged as well.
Hockey Canada said it respects Nike's decision and has vowed to change its culture. But some say until there's accountability, that culture won't change.
These acts of violence need to be responded to in some way, whether it's through charges, whether it's through suspensions, whether it's through bans of play.
It's been 5 years since the alleged sexual assault took place. So far, Hockey Canada, the NHL, and London police have all investigated, but not named any of the players allegedly involved. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
A new drug is being called a game changer tonight in the fight against dementia. What it means for those living with the disease and the future of treatment. Next. Ontario's self-proclaimed crypto king, now the victim of an alleged kidnapping.
I've never seen a bankruptcy proceeding where an inspector is charged in a kidnapping.
The charge is against one of his investors. And a little later, why that little reward may not be as healthy as you think.
There's heavy metals in some of the products, and to a level that's alarming.
The truth about dark chocolate you may not want to hear. We're back in 2. There's a great deal of hope tonight about a new drug treatment for Alzheimer's that researchers say can slow cognitive decline if given at the right time. The drug is called donanemab and is designed to target the buildup of a protein that accumulates in the brains of people with Alzheimer's. It is not a cure, but it does slow down the progression of the disease. However, there can be very serious side effects. Another similar treatment was recently approved for use in the United States. So how significant is this new drug? Dr. Roger Wong is an expert in geriatric medicine and Alzheimer's and clinical professor at the University of British Columbia. Dr. Wong, I've seen this drug described as a turning point in treating Alzheimer's. How would you describe it?
I would describe this, Ian, as an important moment as we continue the fight to find a cure in Alzheimer's disease. We know that in Canada, the number of Canadians who are living with Alzheimer's is on the rise. According to the landmark study that was published by the Alzheimer's Society of Canada, currently we have over 600,000 Canadians who are living with Alzheimer's disease. And if nothing were to change in the next 30 years, that number will triple to over 1.7 million. We know that there's a lot of ongoing research about finding treatments for Alzheimer's, and this particular study on donanemab is an important step towards that. It's not a cure, it's not exactly there yet. What we know, for example, in this particular study is that people who are receiving this treatment by intravenous means over a period of 18 months, there is slowing of the cognitive decline, a decline in their brain function, including memory, etc., by about 35% compared to the placebo group. Now, what it means, though, is that they continue to decline. There's still a decline. It's not a cure, but it is slower. If you think in terms of a delayed progression, that's approximately, on average, about 4 months. But as you said, there are significant side effects of brain swelling and bleeding in the brain, which could have devastating physical and psychological and mental effects on the person, almost like they're having a stroke. So it's something that we have to be very, very careful about.
And Dr. Wong, I'm sure a lot of people watching right now are wondering, when will this drug be available for patients in Canada?
What I can say, Ian, is that we are very excited about this development. However, more work needs to be done in order to ensure safety and availability of this drug to the population. And in Canada, this drug currently is not approved. So we need to wait.
All right. Dr. Wong, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A strange twist tonight in the case of Ontario's self-proclaimed crypto king, with charges laid against 5 men for allegedly kidnapping him.
I honestly feel very, very humiliated. I feel embarrassed.
How one of his former investors is facing charges. Plus, in the fight against addiction, an innovative prescription.
If you work hard enough, you can turn your life around and live the life that you deserve.
Joanna Remiliotis looks at how some are using housing as a form of health care. The National takes you deeper into the stories shaping our world. Next. Toronto police have charged 5 men with kidnapping in the alleged abduction of Aiden Pluterski. In a video obtained by CBC News, Ontario's self-proclaimed crypto king appears with several facial injuries. Through his lawyer, Pluterski says the recording was made while he was abducted. Angelina King has the dramatic developments in a multi-million-dollar bankruptcy case.
I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't want to or mean to ruin anybody's life.
CBC Toronto received this 12-minute edited video showing a beaten and bruised Aiden Pluterski, seemingly apologizing to investors and explaining what he claims happened to the millions they gave him. Pluterski says he lost $45 million in a single month.
When the money was coming in, I was failing to tell people that I'd lost a lot of it, which caused me to use more leverage in the crypto market, which caused me to lose more and more and more, because I was trying to recoup my losses, which was not the right thing to do at all.
The 24-year-old boasted about his lavish lifestyle and caught the eye of investors, who gave him tens of millions to invest in cryptocurrency and foreign exchange. But last year, things started to unravel, and now authorities are trying to track down millions that are unaccounted for through bankruptcy proceedings.
I honestly feel very, very humiliated. I feel embarrassed.
Toronto police won't comment on the video. Through his lawyer, Pluterski said it was taken when he was kidnapped in December. Pluterski's lawyer told CBC Toronto, "Neither he nor I have seen the complete video, so he can't really comment on it. All he can say is that while some of it is accurate, he was being forced to say a lot of it by his kidnappers." Kidnappers, allegedly 5 of them. CBC has learned they were charged earlier this month with dozens of offenses, including kidnapping with the intent to hold Pluterski for ransom last December.
Maybe 5 years, hopefully. We'll see, yeah.
One of those charged is Akil Haywood, seen here in a 2017 CBC interview about the Toronto Caribbean Carnival. The community volunteer and businessman is the founder of a nonprofit event organizer. Court records show Haywood lost more than $700,000 investing with Pluterski, and in another twist, he was appointed as an inspector in Pluterski's bankruptcy proceedings, a role that had him representing the investors trying to recoup their millions.
This was highly unusual.
Norman Groot is a lawyer hired by some of Pluterski's investors.
I've never seen a bankruptcy proceeding where an inspector is charged in a kidnapping and a forcible confinement related to recovering money in a bankruptcy. So Mr. Haywood would have been privy to the particulars of whatever investigation Grant Thornton was conducting. And the concern always is that, is that information going to be used for their own purpose outside of the bankruptcy proceedings.
Haywood is also charged with threatening an official from Grant Thornton who's overseeing the proceedings for $2 million in cryptocurrency. The accounting firm said Haywood resigned as an inspector. Grant Thornton said, "We've been cooperating with police and have maintained open lines of communication. We cannot comment any further as this is an active investigation." Haywood declined to do an interview and answer a list of questions, but he did tell us that he's innocent. 4 other men have also been charged in relation to the alleged kidnapping, including with assault and gun offenses. None of the allegations have been tested in court. Pluterski's lawyer said his client is grateful for police officers' work in apprehending those involved in his kidnapping and assault. In the video, he seems to concede some investor money went to his own personal expenses, but vowed to pay them all back.
I'm gonna do it before I go and buy myself another car, before I go and buy myself another watch, before I go and buy myself expensive clothing or anything.
So Angelina, he's only invested a fraction of the millions that people gave him. What's the latest in this case?
Well, Ian, the first thing that I want to note is that Pluterski isn't facing any criminal charges. Authorities are still trying to figure out where all of that money went. So far, the bankruptcy proceeding has found that Pluterski invested less than 2% of the just over $40 million that investors gave him. It's also found that he spent nearly $16 million on himself, renting private jets, going on vacations, and adding luxury cars to his collection. Lotorski's lawyer told us his client says he's looking forward to the, quote, fairest conclusion of the bankruptcy process for all parties involved.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story, Angelina. Thanks. Coming up, a new approach to the addiction crisis, aiming to give people a roof over their heads.
How hard was it for you to be healthy when you didn't have a place to call home?
I couldn't have done it without the housing.
Joanna Remiliotis looks at a new program centered around housing. While this country's housing crisis is felt almost across the board, it is especially acute for those living on the street. That fact alone puts their health and their lives at risk. Some doctors here in Canada say one answer is to actually prescribe housing as healthcare. In the spring, Joanna Remiliotis took us to Portland, Oregon, where a similar system is helping.
All right, so here I am. All right, here's my, come on in. This is my little slice of heaven. Every time I come home, I thank God for it.
How does it feel being here?
It feels good. It feels really good. You know, it's so funny, I was telling my sponsor, I was so excited to pay rent. Oh, I get all emotional, but yeah, because it's been so long since I've done that.
Danielle Gaddis says paying rent for her Portland apartment is a blessing.
My dad always tells me how proud he is of me, and I know my mom would be proud if she was here, so yeah.
Just a few years ago, she was addicted to heroin and living under a tarp on the streets. She's here now because every step of her recovery came with a roof over her head.
Love this guy.
Dr. Richard Bruno is a big reason why.
He's seen me, my transformation. You know, he's been here through this journey with me. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to have somebody who doesn't judge.
I'm always telling you, I'm on your team.
He does.
You know, this is the thing. We're in this together. We're working on this together.
Gaddis's story is a bright light in a bleak landscape. And it's a long way from living in a tent in a city full of them. Along Portland's highways and streets, crushing poverty, addiction, illness, it's everywhere you look. It's obvious people living out here need care, and they need homes.
Getting people off the streets and providing housing as the most basic form of healthcare is happening here in Portland. It's not solving the problem, but it is saving lives.
This is Blackburn Center, one of the 30 buildings run by Central City Concern, a nonprofit agency determined to house the homeless.
Absolutely. We think that housing is healthcare and housing is life-saving.
Bruno is the senior medical director of primary care for the agency. The center here offers wraparound care and housing to the sick and the vulnerable who have nowhere to go.
I had a gentleman who I saw the other day who half of his foot was cut off after having frostbite, right? And he was discharged back to his tent where he was on crutches and having to sort of walk through the snow. And his wound opened up and dehisced, and unfortunately started to get infected. So he came and saw us, and we said, "Where are you staying tonight?" And he said, "I'm going to go back to my tent." And I said, no, let's get you indoors, my friend. And we were able to get him into the recuperative care program.
The healing from illness or addiction begins here, and so does a health plan that always includes a place to live.
So this is a great example of a room here at our Blackburn Center. It can be sometimes a first stop for people on their road to recovery.
And they're getting care? Like, are there nurses attending to them?
Yes, we get a plan for the day, whether that includes going to a specialist visit or going to see one of the doctors downstairs, or any of our other services that exist across our agency. And we help them get a plan for transitional housing when they're ready and safe to discharge.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Bruno's team helped Gaddis get into transitional housing when she was ready. She walked in off the streets to a clinic in another of the agency's buildings and was immediately offered a spot in an in-house detox program.
So where are we heading? Okay.
619, that's my room.
Yeah.
Apartment 619 became her safe place to keep recovering when she was drug-free.
But in order to stay here, you have to participate in EAC, which is the Employment Access Center, outpatient treatment. And usually it's only a 9-month program, but I was here for 17 months. Yeah, because I really didn't want to leave, actually, to be honest with you. It's kind of scary to, because it's been a while since I've been on my own.
She was scared, but she had support every step of the way.
And this is it right here. This is mine. Yeah, I used to have my name right there and a little saying right there, yeah. You know, I had a really, really good childhood. I had a 2-parent home. Parents were really involved in what we did. I was never abused, you know, none of that. I'm the only addict.
Gaddis says her addiction only deepened when her mother died.
I had never ever experienced homelessness, and it was really bad.
What was it like?
Depressing, really lonely, you know. I ended up in a tent like down the street from my childhood home. Like literally, and I still don't understand what that's about. I don't know if I felt like that would make me feel closer to my mom, maybe, because I would walk by that house like every day. And so I want people to know that we're not bad people, we just made bad choices. And if you work hard enough, you can turn your life around and live a life that you deserve.
And how important was housing for that?
Oh God, really important. It would really help save my life.
I was in a housing program straight out of treatment.
Emily Fox says she wouldn't be here either if she didn't get the same help. She lived on the streets for 5 years.
How hard was it for you to be healthy when you didn't have a place to call home?
I couldn't have done it without the housing. Like without the housing in place, like it's impossible that I could have went to treatment for 4 months and had that amount of time and then went back outside to a tent and like sustained my sobriety or my recovery. It just doesn't work. Hi, I'm just calling to remind you about your appointment with us on Monday.
Housing helped Fox rebuild her life. She works here now, offering the same compassion that saved her.
Every day I'm just like in awe that I work with like such absolute angels, because you know we see a lot of like hardship and a lot of struggle, and like everybody's always so kind.
When you see people coming in need, does it remind you of you?
Yeah, 100%.
And what do you see when you see those people?
Hope. I can be like, I was actually like literally just like that, and you know, with the right like support and the right like care, like you can come back from that.
Hey, I have a news crew from Canada here with me.
For Bruno, so much of his work is about restoring people's dignity in the face of so much inhumanity.
But I know they didn't get her into a wheelchair and see how she's going to get from her wheelchair down to her sleeping bag on the ground, which is what she's been doing every night, right? Like, right. There's no way she can do that anymore by herself. She's going to have a higher level of care. So we just see so many folks falling through the cracks every single day. And we see the repercussions of that throughout our city, and a lot of the stigma that happens when people are ignored or kicked out of other organizations or other businesses. And so it's amazing to see somebody's eyes light up when you say their name, call them by their first name, and talk to them as human beings.
That's a picture of me and my daughter.
That value on life helped transform Gaddis's life.
She had it custom made.
She has this place and a job. Her old life is still so close to home, but further than it's ever been.
And so I looked out and I just, I prayed for the grace of God, there go I. But I know if I can do it, that anybody can do it.
Joanna also found out something similar is being built here in Canada. 51 supportive housing units are going up on a hospital parking lot in Toronto, believed to be a Canadian first. They're on track to be completed in October. Staff is now being hired. Coming up, dark chocolate is seen by many as the healthier choice, but some experts say it's not as sweet as it seems. Plus,
they rolled them around and whatnot, and they thought they were great, put smiles on their faces.
How these handmade wooden toys are making a difference in our moment. This is no ordinary iPhone, at least not these days. It's a never-been-opened original 4-gigabyte model dating from 2007. And it sold at auction yesterday for about $250,000, a new record, and more than 300 times its original sales price. What makes this one so rare is that 4 gig storage space. Today, you can get an iPhone with 1,000 gigabytes. From dipped cones to s'mores, all kinds of summer treats involve chocolate, and many consider dark chocolate to be the healthier choice. But as Christine Birak laid out earlier this year, there are concerns about the presence of heavy metals in some.
No one's taking away your dark chocolate. It can still offer some health benefits, but based on a recent study, you might want to cut down or switch brands.
There's heavy metals in some of the products, and to a level that's alarming.
A team from Consumer Reports tested various chocolate bars for cadmium and lead levels. The findings aren't peer-reviewed, but a similar FDA study also found dark chocolate contained higher concentrations of heavy metals compared to hundreds of other foods. These researchers tested specific brands.
We detected either cadmium or lead or both in all 28 bars.
Long-term exposure to cadmium can lead to fragile bones, kidney, and lung damage. Lead is toxic to our organs, and in children, it harms the nervous system. There are no safe limits set in the U.S. or Canada, but using California's maximum dose levels, some dark chocolate bars tested high in cadmium. Other familiar brands were found to be high in lead. And some tested surprisingly high in both cadmium and lead. Health Canada says it looks at new studies to identify risks, but to date, scientific assessments of cadmium and lead from all foods, including chocolate, showed heavy metals don't represent a health concern.
We all know heavy metal exists here and there, but we not often see their exact level being present.
Scientists say heavy metals come from our environment, but certain industries like mining and manufacturing can increase cadmium and lead levels in the air, water, and soil, which means cacao beans grown in some areas contain higher amounts than others, and dark chocolate uses more of those beans.
If you know some certain sources that might have higher amount of heavy metals, I probably want to reduce the consumption of that product to my kids.
Michael Sacco founded Chocosol Traders. He works to source clean ingredients for his dark chocolate.
It should be something that you savor and appreciate as one of the little luxuries and pleasures of life, not as something that you gorge yourself upon.
Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
This is a photo of the Arn Prior Men's Shed in Ontario, a place where retired men can meet, chat, and maybe make some stuff. A community to share stories, friendship, and hobbies. But lately they've been sharing handcrafted wooden toys with children who lost their old ones to wildfires. The nationwide campaign it has turned into is our moment.
One of our members, Denise St. Pierre, a few months ago moved from our area here to Nova Scotia.
Andy contacted me after he heard about the forest fires, and I told him about my daughter and her family had lost their home and everything in it.
And then I asked Denise, do you think your grandchildren would like a few wooden toys? And Denise said, yeah, I think that'd be great. And when they arrived, they were just a hit. They were a great hit. And so we figured, hey, maybe there's many other families in similar condition that could use a little smile. And the guys really got into it. You know, these old geezers, you know, carefully sanding the rough edges off a plane and things like that. So it's gone from me sending Denis a little box of toys to something that's spread to different parts of the country. It really brings a smile to the heart of everybody that's been involved.
Of course it would. Like if you're a kid, especially if you've lost your toys because of a wildfire, evacuation, you know, houses destroyed, just getting toys would be cool. Getting those beautiful wooden toys, I mean, those are potentially heirloom toys. And one of the things that Andy says is, given everything that's happening across Canada right now, the demand for toys this season will probably be even greater. So if you're sitting there hanging out with a bunch of retired geezers, this is your opportunity to help out. His words, not mine. That is the National for July 17th. See you tomorrow night.